When exactly does Sopranos get awesome? I just finished the first season, and so far what I'm getting is a couple of decent laughs while watching a suburban dad have a midlife crisis and a bunch of fake tough people whining about their feelings. His wife whines when he isn't a good enough person. His kids whine about, well, everything. His mom whines about him not loving her enough. His uncle whines about his respect, and God forbid anyone learns that he goes down on a woman. His friends whine about their status and their wives, or their kids and their wives whine about Tony. And Tony whines about literally everyone and everything, including his therapist not falling in love with him at one point, which kind of blew my mind. And I thought that what I was watching when I started was the greatest show ever made about mobsters doing mob shit. What the hell? Okay, maybe this feels a little hyperbolic. And I've heard from way too many people how good this show actually is to believe that they're all just wrong. But it has definitely not been what I expected it to be. And it's not just what I've heard. I feel like the show set itself up to be something else. Right out of the gate, we're running a guy down with our car, and some dude's getting killed in like a butcher shop or whatever that was. And then most of the rest of the season turns into a middle-aged man dealing with his dysfunctional relationships and his dysfunctional family in his dysfunctional life. If you want to stop being dysfunctional, join the Bonus Binge Squad on Patreon, patreon.com/belatedbinge. You can get early access to all of these videos that I'm doing. You get bonus content. You can get personalized shoutouts on the channel. And I just lowered the price recently. So check out Belated Binge on Patreon. Let's start with Tony's family. His wife, Language, literally tries to fuck a priest. That's a real thing that happens on this show. She's constantly complaining that he's not a good enough person or not a good enough father and all of that kind of thing. But honestly, aside from the whole mob thing, the dude is kind of there for his kids. He's home at night. He goes to school meetings. He takes his daughter on her college visit. He's at the soccer games. I'm not saying that the guy's a good person or even a good dad necessarily, but she's got no problem spending the money he makes when he leaves the house or using it to pretend that she knows the stock market because the neighbor ladies do it. She's got no problem helping him hide the cash and hide the guns from the cops, having his kids, but now she's like having some sort of religious crisis and trying to save him, which I imagine hasn't been a thing for however long they've been together. And this whole like storyline around him being unfaithful and cheating, she literally tells her priest that she actually appreciated that he was getting some on the side so that she didn't have to do it. But then when he finds out that his therapist is a woman, a therapist she wanted him to go to, she freaks out thinking that he's banging her, and then she decides to try to fuck the priest. Then she seems to finally get what the priest is into, because he's definitely got a game, and she gets jealous of him flirting with another woman. All in all, she's just sort of playing a role of a wife that can't be pleased, kind of no matter what he does as a character, so that he can have drama to come home to. And I actually think that she's poised for a really cool turnaround here as we head into season 2, but I've said that about this type of character before and been super wrong. So I guess we're just gonna have to see. And that takes me to his mother, who is clearly just a terrible person. She's been manipulating and controlling him her entire life, clearly, and is trying to continue to do that from the nursing home. The nursing home she didn't even want to go to, but he had to put her in because she was incapable of taking care of herself at home and was trying to manipulate him in that situation to come take care of her himself. And it's kind of insane. And she doesn't even like care, actually. She's just the one that's most upset that he's going to see a shrink. Not because she cares about her son's mental well-being, but because he must be there complaining about her. So she harps and she harps and she starts spreading it around that he's going to see a psychiatrist. Really makes this a huge deal. It's like half of her character in season 1. And all I was thinking as she was doing it is like, I'm going to be shocked if someone doesn't try to kill him for her doing this. And the way that she actually plays his Uncle Junior on his insecurities to try to get back at her own son and actually do just that, tries to get him killed. She makes Gemma Teller look like Peg Bundy. Get it? And then faking Alzheimer's, and that last scene where she's smiling as Tony's like ready to just squeeze her head until it pops, as she's like faking a coma or whatever it is that she's doing. It is sociopathic behavior at like level 11, at least based off of my understanding of the definition of sociopath, which isn't great. Speaking of his uncle, he's such a stiff. He clearly has been dreaming of the day that he gets this power, and he never should have gotten it because he's incompetent as hell. The families wanted Tony to take things over, and Tony didn't want it, so he pushed for his uncle. But the guy is an idiot. He has no strategic thinking capability whatsoever. He's more worried about whether people find out that he goes down on a woman than trying to do anything useful. Like, I don't know, get them out of the feds' crosshairs, for starters. Seriously, he's a clown, a literal clown. He finds out that his girlfriend told her friends that he goes down on her, and he is so mad, he pies her in the face like a fucking clown. He comes out of the gate flexing all this power through brute force and with no tact, having his boys beat people up, and he's pieing women in the face now. What in the actual, what is happening with this character? What is this? And he has zero personality at all. So it's always a fun time when he's on camera, mostly with Tony's mom, looking like a fish out of water with his giant eyes and spectacles and a confused expression on his face at all times. Holy shit, he's a clownfish. From now on, he will be known as Nemo. And we're going to have to find out if Nemo turns into a rat. The next characters on my list are Tony's kids. And I'm going to be honest, I'm not going to shit on the kids. Because if there's anything that checks out about this show, is that being a parent is hard. And kids are brutal to each other. And they're not known for their understanding of the most minor inconveniences. So then I have the therapist on my list, who's actually a highlight in this show. She doesn't back down from him in the room. She doesn't freak out about him confessing his love to her like this is some kind of high school drama. I wasn't a fan of her talking about him with her family because apparently it just gives her ex-husband, who she still hangs out with, something to bitch about, which seems to be his thing so far. Which is a great thing to have, I guess. But other than that, she's been fine and fairly intriguing, or at least competent. But the guys around Tony, they all have their levels of dumb, just drama happening. His over-eager young goon who just wants to get made and write a movie. His friend whose wife is just constantly complaining about Tony. I don't know why she's even on the show, but at least she didn't try to fuck a priest. However, this friend does come threaten Tony with a gun. Wild behavior. I did not see that coming from this guy. All the yes men that are around Tony are just that. That's all they are. They're just yes men. And the young goon of his uncles, who hates Tony on principle, I thought was going to become like the big internal villain, but he got at the very end of the season, in the final episode where this show actually started looking like the show I thought I was getting into. And that leads me to Tony himself, who is just all over the place. He's a big tough guy around town, but his wife walks all over him. He's a caring dad, but he's not particularly good at it. He loves his mom and tries to take care of her, but she just tries to use guilt and manipulation on him and get him killed. He's married, but he has a girlfriend, and he thinks he's in love with his therapist after like 3 conversations because she's hot and he can't get it up with his girlfriend anymore, I guess. He gets over-medicated and depressed and pervy about a dental student house sitting next door, and it takes someone trying to kill him to wake him out of this stupor, and apparently it was all just a drug-induced hallucination after all. But when he is existing within the planes of our reality, or at least our fictional universe reality that this show is set in, he seems to generally have decent principles about him, but also strangles a guy to death while his daughter is at her college interview. He's the strategic mind of the business who wants to pull the strings but doesn't want to have the actual power. He also needs to be medicated and needs therapy to avoid having panic attacks, dealing with the stress of his life, a life that he admits that he sometimes wishes he wouldn't have gotten into, but shows absolutely no interest in, leaving? And you can see it in the last episode. He seems to be having this, awakening. He seems to be happy, excited, finally. Almost turned on, if you will, by the chaos around him and getting the chance to clean up the mess and kill the people who tried to kill him. He's a total wild card. What Tony are we gonna get today, he wonders to himself. I don't know. But season 2, I'm not ruling anything out. Now, I knew that this show was going to be a drama. I had heard that, right? It's kind of a soap opera for men. I had heard that in the general pop culture, I guess, references to the show. But I think I expected a few more bullets and a few less people just talking scenes a whole season into the journey. But just to be clear, before you just roast me in the comments, which you're probably going to do anyways, I'm absolutely expecting this show to be awesome. And I'm sure it gets better as it goes. And there's a reason it inspired an entire genre of criminal drama anti-hero type shows. You've been on this channel before. Sons of Anarchy is possibly my favorite show ever, and it was literally called Sopranos on Motorcycles. And things did get cranked up at the very end of the first season, and it has me intrigued. The only reason I haven't started season 2 yet is because I hadn't recorded this yet, so I'm expecting it to continue to build, and I'm hopeful, because it's just not been what I expected so far, specifically the pacing. It's just been a way slower show than I imagined. So, I thought we would play a game as I head into season 2, just for fun. Comment below a super obscure reference from the show that I'm not going to understand at all, but is going to make way more sense as I get deeper into the show. Also, subscribe to the channel, please, and watch, that next.